It's an interesting video on faith, Mark Zuckerberg's faith. To me, I think a lot of people make a business decision to follow God. Now, I can't speak for Mark Zuckerberg. I don't know him. But I know a lot of people follow a set of rules. They read the Bible. They think, gee, this is interesting. There's a lot of wisdom here. And they follow that. And then there's those that the Bible talks about walk in spirit and in truth. And that's ones that have had not a head knowledge of God, but a movement of your heart. And it's like a marriage, isn't it? If you have, or a relationship. If you have a relationship with someone because you've learned about them and you just like some of the things they do and maybe don't like what they don't do, you might have a good friendship, but you're never going to have that deep connection. And then there's those ones where you just resonate together. Your chemistry is just there, is on a spiritual level, on a natural level, where you're able to just look at that person and say, well, you know what? Some of the things you do I don't like, but my feeling for you, my connection with you goes beyond my liking and not liking. I mean, obviously you have to like, but I hope you get the point of what I'm saying here. So anyway, Mark Zuckerberg, it's interesting that he has a God conscience that's stirred in him, and I just pray that somewhere along the line with that, he finds the romance of God, where you can dance. And I like to say there's those that listen to music and then try to move with the music or even influence the music. Then there's others that feel the music and are the music, and they're one with the music. And I think with the greatest relationships in life are the ones where we feel each other, we move, and we know that. And that's what it is with God. When you know God, you feel him, you move with him, and he moves with you.
But I think similarly, believing that there are things that are bigger than that, like God, is also just sort of a really grounding thing for me. The more you sort of study the Bible or the Torah or whatever, I mean, there is like just a lot of wisdom in it, in terms of, how to live your life, how to think about creation and building. I mean, no matter what you're doing, no matter how kind of modern or technological it is, I just think that there are interesting lessons. It's really kind of meaningful to me. It's like at the beginning of the Torah in Genesis, most of like the Bible is basically rules for how to live your life. But it starts with, it's like, why does it start in this place of talking about the creation? And it starts off with like, okay, God created people in God's image. And it's like, well, what does that mean? What does that mean you're supposed to go do? It starts off talking about creation, right? It's like, okay, how God created all this stuff. It's like, yeah, I think that there's like a real interpretation in that is kind of personal to me, which is like a lot of what we are here to do is create good things in the world. So, I mean, I was raised Jewish, and I think I'd say from the time I went to college or so, maybe I wasn't as focused on it. But I think a few things in the last 5 or 6 years have made me a little more focused on it. One is, of course, family and having kids, right? So you like want to have traditions for the kids.